guys, it's Rachel here with Senza Cane Corso. I see you, Idra. Hello. So I thought I would introduce you guys to Idra. I finally feel like she's recovered enough for you guys to see. She's the dog that I got from somebody else who basically kind of was overwhelmed. They bought her pregnant from overseas, from a really good breeder. And she just randomly got a super bad infection in her neck, swelled up really big. The owner took the dog to the vet, did not get it resolved, and then contacted me for help. And I was able to get it resolved. I was able to help them whelp their litter. And they just kind of were overwhelmed by the whole thing, decided they didn't want to be a breeder anymore. So I received this dog as kind of payment for my services of helping them out. And then I ended up purchasing her daughter, which you guys know as Zenyatta. So anyway, so this isn't about her. I just was like, you know what, I need to do this video, and I wanted something that wouldn't be too big of a distraction. So I didn't want to have a bunch of dogs out. And I figured, well, I haven't introduced you guys to Idra yet, so here she is. She's a really beautiful dog. She's still obviously got some recovering to do, but she's at least put weight on. She's fully healed up in the neck. She had almost like a baseball size abscess in her neck. What do you got? Psst. Oh, I know exactly what you have. You better put that down. Psst. I know that's a dead bird. Hey, Idra. Psst. Leave it. Psst. Ah. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl, Idra. Good girl. Now you best leave that alone, girl. Let's get that. Hold on a minute. I'm going to scoop it up onto my piece of paper, even though that's not quite sanitary, but that's okay. Some would say, why not just let them eat it? Well, because we had a dog do that one time, and we ended up at the vet with a really bad case of gastritis. So, best not. And, oh, there we go. All right. Okay. So, I had somebody contact me today. And I literally asked people not to contact me about their personal experiences working at a veterinary office. Because I've worked at a veterinary office. Not only have I worked at veterinary offices, but I've worked at a lot of different places. And never at any time, even whenever I worked for my own family, for my own sister, have I ever had a boss tell me what they make. I've never had them tell me that. So I don't care. I've done the research. Now, and I'm going to cover that a little bit more tomorrow, because I was going to cover it in completion today, because within this article I'm about to read you is a link to, in reference to the consolidation of veterinary clinics. And I will show you that. I was reading it and I was like, man, this is not something that I can just cover together. This really does deserve its own video. But in reference to today, and my video yesterday, in reference to claims that I was making about veterinary clinics putting profit over the financial concerns of their customers, things like that, I did find an article that talked about exactly that, and I wanted to share that with you guys today. In fact, because I found out some other stuff too. So here's the article. Most Americans have pets. Almost 1/3 can't afford their vet care. And this was published in 2021. And I'm not going to read the entire thing to you, but I am going to talk about some key items, and then I'll leave the link and you can look at it at your leisure. So, we'll just film her as I talk. Since mid-2020, more than 1,000 low-income families have brought their sick and suffering pets to the nonprofit pet support space housed in tiny Los Angeles storefront. One 14-year-old dog had a tumor that a veterinarian had quoted $5,000 to remove. A 4-year-old pit bull had been vomiting for days. A cat's painful bladder stones require surgery. A pug limped from the foxtail embedded in its paw. Skin and ear infections abounded. Neither the animal's problems nor the owner's inability to afford help for them was a surprise. A recent nationwide study found that almost 28% of households with pets experience barriers to veterinary care, with finances being the most common reason. In low-income households, the researchers found financial and housing insecurity can increase the risk that animals will not receive the care they need. Sociologist Arnold Arluke, author of Underdog Pets, People in Poverty, estimates that 66% of pets in poverty have never seen a vet at all. The why behind those numbers is complex. Of course, money is the primary problem. Veterinary care is expensive. A majority of practitioners work in for-profit clinics. Consolidation in the industry has increased emphasis on profit margins, and vet prices have risen faster than the overall rate of inflation. That has checkups starting at $50, which in my experience is not $50. It's typically anywhere between $90 to $150 now. Dental cleaning going for $70 to $400, and blood work and x-rays at $80 to $250. And notice how it has that large disparity. The reason why they have that large disparity is because vets in poorer areas don't charge as much. And so that's where it goes into proving that it isn't necessary for the costs to be that high, that it is basically them going along with whatever they believe the perceived incomes are of the area that they're in. And this guy says, so this is a matter of opinion, in my opinion. High prices aren't necessarily about greed. Michael Blackwell, a former deputy director of the Center for Veterinary Medicine at the FDA, is the chair of the Access to Veterinary Care Coalition, AVCC, that was formed in 2016 to study this very problem. Veterinary training, he said, teaches vets to practice a gold standard of care, which means running every possible diagnostic test and pursuing every treatment option, even when a client's budget is limited. Many pet owners don't know that they can decline a recommended procedure, such as blood work, or even fewer are willing to decline care for fear of looking heartless. Now, I want to be very clear. I don't feel that is not an issue of greed. I feel that is greed, and it's packaged as compassion, but I don't believe that it is compassion. I think that compassionate is taking care of the people who are taking care and are responsible for the animal. So if you want to make sure that an animal is taken care of, you need to make sure that the owners are capable of doing that, and blindly draining their bank accounts is not protecting that animal, because you're not protecting the people who are taking care of that animal. Let's see here. And then of course the declining something. I dare you to try to decline blood work at your veterinary office and see what they say to you. See how they treat you. Because if the worst thing you could do is tell a veterinarian no. Like, legitimately. I've never seen. You will have veterinarians are more high pressure. Not all of them. I want to be very clear. Not all of them, but these new, like they were talking about, these for-profit veterinary machines. They are very hard sellers, harder than like car salesmen, harder than the people that accost you at the furniture store. They will harass you about, like, I've had vets, the last time whenever I took Izzy in for the quote to have her spayed, that vet tried so hard to get me to revaccinate her, telling me that the vaccines that I get from Tractor Supply are not safe. They're not temperature regulated. They don't have all the same protocols, blah, 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 like all this crap, right? And then whenever I told them that I also order them online, from the veterinary medicine providers online, they're like, oh yeah, no, that same, all the same song, as if they don't buy their vaccines the exact same way. Okay. So, and at no point did she care that there are many veterinarians coming out saying that over-vaccination is dangerous, that it's causing health issues in dogs. You know, my daughter just said that she got back from visiting her friend and her friend's dog has autism. And I'm just sitting here like, okay, when did dogs start getting autism? You know, I'm not going to, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to just leave it right there. Do with that information as you will. So anyway, let me see here. Okay, so it says, it says some private vets offer struggling clients discounts, and I've experienced that before. And that's what I was saying, private vets are often different. I've had good experiences with private vets. And that's why I've told people I've talked about this before, and I tell people, look into the vet that you're looking into, research the vet that are in your area and make sure that they are privately owned and not group consolidated owned, so that you're actually, you know, so that you're at the mercy of a human being and not a huge corporation that doesn't care about you or your pet. Says here, but they themselves carry an average of $150,000 in student loan debt, so they simply can't carry the immense existing need on their own, which is understandable. Telling clients you can't help them because they have no money is one of the leading causes of burnout in the veterinary profession, according to Prupus, which I don't know what that is, but I literally said that yesterday. I mean, it's obvious common sense that having to euthanize animals simply because somebody can't afford treatment is going to be heartbreaking. It will take a toll on you if you're any kind of regular human being. I mean, that should be common sense. Let's see here. It says here, this is horrible. Pet insurance might help defray costs, but requires monthly premiums and comes with such a complicated array of deductibles, copays, caps, and exclusions that one how-to guide recommends hiring an attorney to review the policy. Who's got money to do that? Yeah, it says credit cards designed for medical care financing, if one can qualify, can carry punishing interest rates as high as 26.99%. And yes, that's very true. Care credit is extremely high. Let's see here. Let's see what else there is. I mean, it focuses on other stuff. It talks about, the failure on the part of the animal welfare movement to consider, much less prioritize, the needs of low-income pet owners. And they're talking about how owners can be punished because they can't afford veterinary care. Most humane neglect cases stem from an inability to get care for a pet. In Michigan, for example, failing to provide an animal with adequate care, including medical attention, is a misdemeanor that can carry 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $1,000. With a second violation, it becomes a felony. And there was this one lady who was talking, and she said, where is it at? Come here, Idra. Here we go. She said, okay, so, what are you doing, funny girl? What are you doing, funny girl? Don't you run into me, funny girl. Don't you run, you're too funny. Yes, you are. Am I ignoring you? I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, pretty baby. You're a good girl, Idra. You're a good baby. Yes, you are. You're a funny girl. Oh, you're a funny girl. Oh, you're a funny girl, Idra. Oh, you're a funny girl. Who's a funny girl? Who's a funny girl? What did you, baby? All right, come on. All right, so it says, until recently, we focused on shelter-centric challenges, acknowledged Amanda Arrington, Senior Director of the Humane Society of the United States Pets for Life program, which assists low-income pet owners. There was a lot of judgment in making determinations on who was or wasn't deserving of support and resources that was influenced by what I think a lot of society is influenced by, which is classism and racism. We conflated a lack of financial means and access with how much someone loves their pet or desires to care for it. Now, I have found that to be literally this one woman contacted me today, and in her wording that she used was people who didn't want to pay. I think it was something like either people who chose not to pay, didn't want. She put the onus, the responsibility on the owner, as in it was their choice not to pay. And that is just simply not true. And the other thing is that, there was a time when veterinary care was reasonably affordable. Okay, it was high. Don't get me wrong, but it wasn't impossible for most people. Maybe the the very poverty-stricken community, of course, coming up with $2,500, may not be it. But at the very most, $5,000, maybe $7,000 for the most complicated of crazy surgeries and life-saving stuff, you might hear about, way back in the day. But nowadays, like I told you guys, I got quoted $5,000, or no, it was $2,500 up to $5,000 for a spay, for a non-complicated spay that I could have done free in Austin, Texas, if I wake up at 6 a.m. and go through the whatever it is that they have over there. They've got some program where you just drop your dog off and it gets spayed and neutered. And the reality of the situation is that it's not essential that these prices be that high. So it's like, and I think that's why we're having veterinary burnout, is because, and they know that, and that's what I'm going to tell you is tomorrow I'm going to read you an article on if you want to, you can read ahead before me. So consolidation in the industry. Click on that link on this study that I'll post, and you can read about a guy who owned, I think he was a vet, and he owned a Banfield, I think it was veterinary practice, and his original practice he sold to VCA. And so just go, if you want to go ahead and read ahead, class, feel free. But I'm going to be talking about that, and I think there's another vet that I had seen something on, and I'll try to find as much as I can for that video. But there are vets that are coming out and are being honest about it. And the one that I'm going to speak about tomorrow, personally, he found God, and he had such immense guilt that you can really tell by reading it that he very much had a mental breakdown, and I'm sure he did come close to making that short-term decision, or a long-term decision for a short-term problem. And but it looks like he found God, and he found a way to dedicate his life to trying to expose what is going on and change things, instead of just giving up and going quietly into the night. So I appreciate that. I think he's really trying his best to undo the wrongs that he's done. And if people are not careful, man, we got to watch out, because I'm telling you, if there's a study that was referenced in this thing, and it's talking about poverty in animals and things like that, and there are people that are already, just like I said yesterday, that are trying to create laws that require you to take your dogs into the vet, to have them checked out, that will require you to get care, and may even get to the point where you can't have dogs. And they're even trying to change the laws. Like this study that I was just reading, and I'll link it. It's in this. It's this one right here. It's really long. I'll just warn you now. It's really long. A recent nationwide study. So that right there, that is very long. But go down to the area where it starts talking about animals in law, and you'll find that they're trying to classify animals as family members. And so basically they're going to have like a CPS that's going to come and take your freaking dogs from you. And it just, you guys, you can't make this stuff up, man. Y'all, if we don't wake up, we're going to lose all our freedoms. And I'm just, for once, I'm glad that I'm older. For once, I'm glad you couldn't pay me to go back, because I don't want to see it. Come on. I am not in the least bit excited to see what the future has to offer. That's what I'll tell you. So anyway, I will end it there. I know it's quite dystopian, but that's just where I'm at right now. So I hope y'all are having a good day, and I'll talk at you later. Bye.